Hi everyone, today gonna feather with something real cute, which is a low profile air cooler coming from Gelid known as the Steam Silent Blank. I wasn't aware of this air cooler till they have approached me, and also thanks to them to have provided this unit for me to share with you guys. Let's begin. In this box it contains an instruction manual showing you all the accessories and how to mount the Intel and AMD platform. I believe this box is the accessories, which I will go through with you later, and the main cooler. Nice touch. All this to protect the low profile air cooler, and the whole air cooler is very small, as you can see, and it's all black. This low profile air cooler is equipped with a 90 mm hydrodynamic fan, which has a thickness of 15 mm. It runs off 12 DC and have a drawing amperage of 0.18 ampere. And this fan, in fact, is PWM fan, where it provides a 4-pin PWM fan connector, and the max RPM of this fan is at 2800. And as for the heatsink itself, the measurement from here to the 4 heat pipe is at 104 mm, and at the side from here to here is at 94 mm, and the thickness together with the fan from here to here is at 41.5 mm. As mentioned to you, there are 4 heat pipe, and this is how it looks like. There are 4 copper direct contact to your IHS. It will dissipate heat through this heat pipe to your pin stack, which would be very good. Furthermore, this is blank, the heatsink itself, so the absorption will be very good. I also noticed that, as the name had mentioned, this is silent. Reason being, right, is if you can see, right, between the heatsink and the fan, there is a gap. So as you know, if the fan is close to the heatsink, it acts as a chamber, so when it blows the air downwards, right, it will cause a so-called narrow tunnel through this pin stack, and noise will be generated. So having this gap, right, this will reduce noise. Another thing good about it, when I dismantle, now this fan is screwed by 4 screws, which I've taken off. There are rubber damping material on the heatsink, so when you mount the fan, right, this will prevent the vibration of the fan, causing it to make noise. This low profile air cooler is meant for small form factor build, which make use of the ITX motherboard, and it has a tolerance, or should I say a TDP, of 130 watt. When I remove all the accessories from this box itself, all this are packed nicely in Ziploc bag. Starting on my left, you are given with thermal paste, which is the GC4, a spatula for you to spread your thermal paste, and sticky washer, which I will show you later what to use on this. You have the Intel section, or should I say the bracket, which is in black, and these are the fastening board where you cram your heatsink, right, to the processor itself, or to the motherboard itself. And this fastening board is shared to the AM4 and AM3 bracket, which to fasten again your heatsink to the processor. And as for this is for your AM5 socket, where the board is different. You have a smaller screw hole compared to the AM4, AM3, or the Intel bracket. If you are unsure, please read the manual on how to install, which I will show you later. Now, for this 4 screws over here, They are pretty tiny. This is for you to mount the bracket to the heatsink. You see the two holes over here and two holes over here. So these screws are meant for you to screw it down. And as for this, when you're fastening the heatsink to the motherboard with this, and of course you need to fasten with the bolt. So having your fingers right to mount this is pretty difficult. So they provide you with a tool which is hexagonal shape. So when you plug it in right, you have a Phillips head so that you can use your screwdriver to screw the bolt down. As the mounting of the bracket to the heatsink, be it Intel, AM5 platform, AM3, AM4 platform, they are of the same method. Now I'll be showing you only with the AM4 method, as I'm going to test on the AM4 platform. First off, remove this. Make sure you don't touch the center. Then align these two brackets to the holes over here. Now as for the orientation of the brackets, right, you can refer to the manual. It will show you the brackets, how it's been faced. Once this is done, right, place the 4 tiny screw which I mentioned to the hole and fasten this to it. And again, please do not touch the center. I mean, at all times try not to touch it. If you touch it, just use alcohol to clean it. As you can see, I fastened the bracket to the heatsink with all the 4 screws which are tightened. Next, what you will need to do, in fact this is additional, my way of doing it, I will just mount all the 4 bolts on the mounting bracket on the threads itself. Now there is a reason why I'm doing this, just bear with me. So once you have this right, take the washer where one side is not sticky, the other side is sticky, paste it on those bolts. Now by doing this right, later on when I mount this to the board, you will understand why am I doing this. And why not stick this to the board, as you might ask. Okay, this is done, so I'll just unscrew all the bolts. As you can see, all the washer is stick to the bolt. Okay, probably just pinch it so that it's secure in place. Once I've done with the bolt, with all the washer on the bolt itself, next we'll be mounting this to the processor, which you can see here. Now this method is all up to you. It's either you apply the thermal paste over here first, or you apply the thermal paste on the heatsink itself. I would apply on the heatsink. Reason being, right, alright, let me just show you. But first of all, okay, I'm going to remove off this RAM, as this motherboard was taken off from my Q58 case. It's better to work without the RAMs itself. And now use some alcohol to clean the surface of your IHS. Then even though the heatsink it's off from the tape, I would still wipe it, so to clear off all the debris or the dirt off, the sticky dirt off from the heatsink cold plate. Now next, as mentioned to you, my method, I will apply on the cold plate for the thermal paste. But for today, right, since I'm going to compare with another low profile heatsink to standardize the temperature and everything, I will not be using thermal paste. Instead, I'll be using the thermal pad, which is this. This is specially for processor. Now assuming you have placed the thermal pad. So right now is to place to your heatsink, I mean to your CPU, but you can't mount it directly. What you need is to flip this over, right? The orientation that what I will be doing, right, is the heatsink facing towards this way, not here. I mean the copper pipe, not facing the M.2 armor shield, but facing towards there, an open area. So with this said, right, okay, flip over where you have all these 4 holes, align to these 4 screws, and your thermal paste is over here. So as I mentioned, you can apply thermal paste here or you apply thermal paste over here, but since you're flipping it, right, to prevent you, some of the thermal paste fluid is pretty liquefied, so it might drip. So that's why my method is to place the thermal paste here. Of course, this is not thermal paste, this is thermal pad, which I mentioned to you. I'll be comparing this low profile cooler with another. So once you've done this, right, align to the 4 holes. Gently push it down and grab onto the center, so that your thermal paste, right, will be squished nicely in between the cold plate and to your processor. Next, we'll be putting this in. Now earlier on I told you that I paste the washer to the board instead of onto the motherboard. The reason being, right, okay, assuming this is Titan and you have changed your motherboard to another better processor or better motherboard, you want to reuse this heatsink. If you are going to stick this washer to the motherboard itself, prolonged time, right, this will bond to your motherboard. So instead of bonding to the motherboard, why not bond to the screw? The board. So in future, right, as and when you want to use it again, right, or maybe doing repaste, you can just take it out. See, it's that easy. So that's the reason why I have done the washer on the board instead to the motherboard, which the instruction show is to stick to your motherboard, which is not say incorrect, but I find that this is a better way. Anyway, it still does its job. Then assuming that once you have mounted everything in, right, okay, just do a fast illustration. Once you feel that there's tension, next thing is, since this is a high-end Titan, right, if you find it difficult to use your fingers to screw, you can use this, the toolkit that comes with the accessory. Then fasten it. In fact, this only need hand tight. You don't even need to have a screwdriver, but make sure that when you are applying the tension, right, do it diagonally so that you have even pressure between the heatsink and to your processor. And once this is done, right, plug this 4-pin PWM fan connector to your motherboard CPU 1 and feed on your RAMs. I will conduct the test in my Q58 case, so I'm going to mount this in. Besides this, I will be going against this another low profile heatsink, but it's from Metafish, known as the Z39. And some of you have watched my previous video, which is built on a MATX board in a Taku case. That shows you the temperature of what this low profile can do, and it beats the Noctua NH-L9A. So with this say, right, since this is a winner of that, I will make use of this to compete with this. I'll be running this test with a AMD Ryzen 7 5700X, and all this configuration on the UEFI, though is dated last year, I've been using this profile till right now, even when I conduct the test for these 2 air coolers. Now, what I've done on the UEFI is to enable the XMP profile and to do a vCore offset of 0.175 negative. And on the PBO2, I've set manual, but I've stick to the original default PPT, TDC, and EDC, and this will be shown on the test itself. And on the curve optimizer, I've set it to -18. Now on the actual test, I'll be using R23 Cinebench, and first of all, I will let it run 30 minutes for both air coolers. Then I'll let it idle for about 10 minutes. Then once it's stabilized down right at idle, I will run a 10 minutes test. And the 10 minutes right, it will show you all the stats over here. Now, as mentioned to you, when I configure this all to manual, you will see the stats over here, which is all the PPT, TDC, and EDC. Same goes to the other cooler. Things you need to take note is the CPU temperature, the clock frequency, and all these stats you can refer to, how much power is being drawn and at which load. And this is the CPU fan, whereby this is the Metalfish fan and this is the Gelid Slim Silent, and it will tell you what's the max fan RPM. Now on the UEFI, I have not configured any fan profile. I just set it to auto, so it will just pull to the max RPM of what each fan can do. Besides this, I have shown additional stats on the motherboard temperature, the chipset temperature, the RAM's temperature, and the M.2 temperature. Same goes to this side. The results are out, and I'm quite shocked with the results based on the idle and the load period. Now, my Q58 case, in fact, the original setup was with a 280 liquid AIO, and the idle temperature was not that high as compared to this two air cooler. Looking at the idle right now, do take note that the room temperature in Singapore throughout is about 29 to 30 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty warm without air conditioning. And based on the fact that the case is small, so hot air do trap inside if you do not have enough airflow. And also based on the fact that for each of this cooler, I run first 30 minutes and let it idle for 10 minutes. As you can see over here, the line, this is at idle, and it did pick up a bit based on the fact that I'm running the Cinebench test. So the idle time for Metalfish, in fact, is at 70 to 71 degrees Celsius, and for Gelid Slim Silent is at 64 to 65 degrees Celsius, as compared to my liquid cooler, which is at 55 to 56. So I would say that the case space is a factor, and the region that you're at is also another factor. Now back to where I was. Though I was shocked with the idle time, not too bad when I load, as in like I run the load. Reason being, right, okay, as you can see, if I play right, it gradually goes up on both ends. And let me just pull to the last 2 minutes or so and run. Okay, it's still running on background. Now, based on the fact that the last 2 minutes, right, looking at the load temperature, it is acceptable. On the Metalfish itself, right, I thought it was doing great, but to my surprise, when I look at the temperature on the Gelid Slim Silent, take a look, it's at 77.5. And also to the fact that if you can cool down a processor much more, right, you will be drawing more clock speed for the CPU. So we can take a look. This is running on 4.2 gigahertz and this is running on 4.3 gigahertz. They both have the same, around the same vCore, and of course this is pulling much more because more cooling is provided. And look at the power consumption, it's about the same. All these are unchanged on the PPT, TDC and the EDC. Now, for the fan noise, right, as you have witnessed, I play back. I find that the Metalfish original fans are very loud. Giving a sharp pitch. So it's kind of like irritating, and the microphone is away from the heatsink, about 1 feet away. Same goes to the Gelid Slim Silent, whereby looking at the RPM, right, the Metalfish is running lower RPM but creating so much noise. Sharp pitch. Else for the Gelid Slim Silent, right, it's running at a higher RPM, and I was wondering how come it's running above 2800, but I did about 3 tests on the fan itself. Indeed, it can hover at 3100 RPM or so. So having a high RPM, it should be creating a sharp pitch and such, but it did not. It's a pretty silent fan, I should say, giving just a low hum noise, which will not irritate my ears as compared to the Metalfish. And also looking at other factors like the motherboard, the chipset, and such, right. Now, on the Gelid itself, the DIMM and the motherboard temperature is good. Reason being, right, the fins, the air that is channeling through the fins itself, right, is blowing directly to the VRM areas and also to your RAMs area. Else for the upper part where there are no air pushing out, right, it will affect the chipset. As you can compare to the Metalfish. Metalfish, in fact, is not pushing air in. In fact, it's pushing air out. So it's sucking all the warm air off from the motherboard. But having to say so, right, there is a trade-off. For the Metalfish, right, the motherboard temperature is not really that great. The chipset is good, but the RAMs is pretty high. Not really that high, but it's still, compared to the Gelid Slim Silent. And the M.2 is doing good. It's pulling those hot air away from the motherboard area. Else for Gelid, right, advantage on the DIMM slot and the motherboard itself. But overall, I would say that looking at the temperature and the clock speed and such, and the power drawn, based on the fact that the fans is running quiet, well, this is a winner. As in, like, the Gelid Slim Silence, I was quite shocked that the fan is only 90 mm and this Metalfish is 92 mm. I was thinking that probably it will go close but will not beat the Metalfish, but the result tells everything, as you have witnessed over here. My thoughts about this low profile air cooler from Gelid known as the Slim Silent Black. It does perform. It looks cute, but it has very good performance based on the fact that the room temperature, as I show you over here, this is my room temperature, 30 degrees Celsius, and it's been crammed into my small case, which is the Q58, which I've taken off the 280 liquid AIO off from the top without placing any fans. I was thinking that there are enough circulation, but no, based on the fact that the case is small and the dissipation of heat off from the case without good airflow, right, the cooler suffer. As you can see, the idle temperature, though, is much more better than the the Metalfish Z39, but it's still considered on the high side. So I believe that if I were to do any good air circulation on the Q58, right, this should be able to fit nicely and to have a nice idle temperature. Now, besides this, right, I like the structure of this unit, which to me is really very small, very cute, and most shockingly is the fan is 90 mm. It's not 92, and it does bring tons of air blowing it down to cool your components. Next will be the fins itself. I was underestimating these fins over here. It looks small, but I believe based on the fact that it's black, so it absorbs a lot of heat and to dissipate a lot of heat. And also the noise factor on this fan itself, as I have predicted, based on the gap over here, which stops the whistling, or should I say, if the fan is too near to the fins, right, there is a focus channel of airflow through the fins, and this will cause whistling or whistle, which give a sharp pitch noise, as you heard on the Z39 Metafish. It gives a sharp pitch noise. Else for this, right, it doesn't. It gives a low hum, which, mind you, the microphone was like away from the heatsink about 1 feet. So if you are sitting away 3 feet off from your case, right, you can't hear a single thing at all. Even it's ramping up at 3100 RPM. Now, aside from this, right, something to take note: if you intend to purchase this cooler, please be mindful. Do not put any high-end processor from Intel, which is the i9, be it the Gen 12, Gen 13 or Gen 14, is a no-go to use this air cooler. Same goes to the AMD platform, where you have the Ryzen 9, be it the 5000 series or the 7000 series. Do not apply this cooler, because your performance will suffer and you will have throttle. Reason being, right, this cooler is only catered for 130 watts. For mid-tier, I would say it's okay, but you need to be mindful. For Intel, the 12700, 13700 or 14700, you will need to tone down the power limit and make sure that your performance will not suffer based on the fact that you have toned down just to make use of this cooler. Same goes to the AMD, the Ryzen 7, which I show you, a 5700X, and also the 7000 series, right, the 7700 and the 7700X. Those you can use, but you will need to lower down to set the PPO2 and to do the offset. And again, make sure that the performance does not suffer when you bring down those settings, because no point you purchase a mid-tier processor and yet it cannot perform by default or even better just by applying this cooler. With this said, I do like this unit a lot. There is something which I like Gelid to improve on. As you can see here, right, the mounting plate is in silver. This only happened on AMD platform, which is the AM3, AM4 and AM5. Else for Intel is in black, which is okay. So something to improve on. Now, if you like this unit and want to purchase this is not expensive. This is at $25 USD, and in Singapore dollars should be around $28 or 30 or so. I will leave the URL in my description where you can click and to purchase this product. And also to thank to Gelid to have provided this unit and to recommend me to play with, which I had lots of fun. Thank you very much. To those of you who are actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.